It's all but official, but according to Cedar Point Nation on Facebook, who has found the blueprints and the permit for a new 2-story Grand Pavilion that's going to open in time for the 2023 season. The Grand Pavilion is going to feature 2 different restaurants with the second level for indoor seating and an outdoor deck that's going to extend towards Lake Erie onto the beach area. While this move may upset a lot of you, myself included, I'm going to share with you why it actually is great news for us coaster fans and is going to pave the way for more roller coasters coming to Cedar Point over the next 5 years. And spoiler alert, I still think we could see a new ride or roller coaster come to the park in the 2023 season, and more on that in a few minutes. So what we know so far is Cedar Point is going to announce a new 2-story entertainment and restaurant venue, most likely called the Grand Pavilion, which does tie into the history of the park quite nicely, since Cedar Point used to have a venue called the Grand Pavilion, which is now the convention building. The permit was created on April 6, 2022, and judging by what we know now and the blueprints, this project will really look beautiful when it's completed. My name is Brandon, and welcome to Theme Park Predictions and More. I'm about to share with you all my thoughts on this leaked project that some would call a very strange move for the park, and can we still call Cedar Point America's Rock and Roller Coast? I will say, I have been predicting this for a while now, that Cedar Point will open a new restaurant venue on the former Wicked Twister plot of land. And while I am sad that this is not a new roller coaster, I'm really quite excited about this new addition, especially if there's a bar overlooking the water. I know you're probably in shock that this is not a new roller coaster, but I challenge you to try to understand why this move does make sense for Cedar Point and Cedar Fair. There are multiple reasons why this is a very smart business decision for the park. The area between Gatekeeper and Windseeker is the only part of the park where you get a view of the beautiful Lake Erie. So it does make sense that Cedar Point would want to capitalize off the view and that experience. And quite frankly, the park started doing this when they removed disaster transport in 2012 in favor of tearing down that god-ugly building and building the beautiful Gatekeeper. Where there's a view, there's a draw. And this is going to be a huge revenue maker for Cedar Point. And at the end of the day, parks only care about revenue if they provide a good product, because then people will spend more money and return. And the truth is, a good product is not just about roller coasters. Cedar Point is a destination park. People travel from all over the world to experience this place. And roller coasters are just a piece of what makes a park a destination. Because people come to Cedar Point for the rides, the seasonal events, of course, the roller coasters, plus you have the beautiful beach along Lake Erie, and now it's clear, the restaurants. Cedar Point's prime targeted audience are people who plan to stay at the Cedar Point resorts and spend multiple days at the park. This includes families, which have always been the demographic that typically spends the most money at a park. Trust me, I know this for a fact because I spent hundreds of dollars this year alone on my 3-year-old son when we visit parks. And since that's part of the experience, I will always do this. By adding this new restaurant and pavilion, it's really going to increase the capacity of restaurants that Cedar Point offers. And while you might not think that's important, it really is, because it's all about the guest experience. Guests don't mind as much waiting in line for a ride, but when it comes to a restaurant and getting food, people get impatient, and some even get hangry. Over the last few years, we have seen Cedar Point add restaurants like Backbeat Q, The Farmhouse, and Hugo's, which are all high-capacity restaurants that always seem to be very popular since most of the time the line for them is out the door. Another factor to think about is what if the park did have plans to add a new coaster in 2022, but simply they couldn't afford it since they are still making up money lost during the thick of the pandemic. Now, real talk, I was really hoping Cedar Point was going to add a coaster in 2023. But after this new venue opens, I predict we will not see Cedar Point add any new ground-up restaurants for quite some time. Also, with a beautiful new building like this, I definitely think that the giant wheel will be getting relocated to somewhere else in the park. As to where, I want to know your ideas for placement of the park's 150-foot tall Ferris wheel that opened in 1972. So be sure to let me know in the comments. Now I will say, I do worry about relocating this classic attraction since it's already 50 years old. And I hate to say it, but there is a slight chance the Cedar Point could decide to just remove it altogether due to old age and it already being relocated multiple times before. While it does seem like forever since Steel Vengeance opened in 2018, a major factor to this dry streak of new coasters is the pandemic. But here's a very encouraging thought for you. Maverick opened in 2007. Then, we didn't see a new roller coaster open at Cedar Point until 2013 when Gatekeeper opened. That means the park went 5 full years without a new roller coaster, and 2023 would be the 4th year of no new coaster. So Cedar Point has done this before, and it's clear they're doing it now. But the exciting news for us coaster fans is after Gatekeeper opened in 2013, we were blessed with the Rougarou conversion in 2015, Valraven, the park's B&M dive coaster in 2016, and of course, the RMC Steel Vengeance in 2018. With that, I do predict that we will see 2 new major coasters open at Cedar Point within a few years of each other, since we saw the park add 3 new ones in a very short 5-year window. But all hope is not lost, because there is still an outside chance that we could see a new roller coaster open in 2023 at Cedar Point, but just in a different location. I do predict that Cedar Point will add a new thrill ride or roller coaster in 2023 to help market the park along with the new Grand Pavilion. As for the ride, I would love to see the park open a new Zamperla Endeavor to pay homage to Witch's Wheel. And as for the coaster goes, I think we could see a family roller coaster open. Something that, in my opinion, Cedar Point needs more than yet another large coaster. Because for anyone under 48 inches, the only roller coasters that they can ride are the Woodstock Express and Wilderness Run. And no, sadly, I do not consider Pipe Scream a roller coaster. Both Woodstock Express and Wilderness Run offer a 36-inch height requirement. So what I think Cedar Point should do is add a roller coaster that would be around the same size as Fire Chaser Express. This would then give the park a new coaster that would offer a height requirement of around 39 inches and feature a forwards and backwards launch and other fun elements. Then, after catering to the families, go big for their next attraction. But Cedar Point has gotten themselves in a very interesting crossroads. What's the fate of Dragster? Where will the next roller coaster be located? And all of this has me wondering, could the park have postponed the removal of Wicked Twister once the Dragster accident happened? So many questions, not enough answers, but scenarios that I really do find fascinating. But one thing for sure is, yes, Cedar Point is still America's rock and roller coast and is a great park that you definitely have to visit. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.